despite the challenges and of course the difficult strides and the efforts you have made in becoming such a successful doctor, have you encountered some cumbersome, let's say, problems, difficult problems, let's say, in your career as a doctor?
I performed for last almost 2 decades as a professional doctor and also as a manager. Not always, but most of the time. So I had to play a double role. Start setting up a hospital where, the shoe factory was given to us to be converted to a heart hospital, which we did. But then I had to work with a team, learn how to be a team player, how to lead them, how to take their support, encourage them, of course, learn from them. It was science in itself. It was a training for myself, but also at the same time do my professional job where I was trained enough, operate, do treatments to patients with heart diseases. Combining these two was difficult, but eventually turned out to be a grateful thing to do, because then we could create platforms, not one, more than one institutions over last 17, 18 years. And that kind of brings an enormous opportunities to others to excel in those two platforms. Having said that, I had lots of challenges when I started doing that, because I committed myself to do a public service from day one. I did not go to private institutions because I knew not having high volume centers is never going to give us the quality that we want. So I wanted to do a high volume service in public institute. But working in public institute is tough. There's a lot of regulations, a lot of people influencing over your work, a lot of nuisance complaints and investigations, a lot of politicians who don't like the way you work. And many a times I was about to, resign and just leave. But again, as I said before, I had no better thing to do than what I was doing. So I always came back and said, well, let's do it better. I had frustrations in my professions, because not every case becomes successful. In heart surgery, you are bound to face complications and bound to see deaths everywhere in the world. And that put me into a lot of stress at times, because sometimes, rarely, but happens, that unexpected cases happen. That makes me feel very bad and very awkward. And there are a lot of professional rivalry. Not exactly when I started at the Gangala, but overall when I continued on to Manmohan Cardiothoracic Center and Teaching Hospital and others. A lot of nuisance obstacles came in which bothered me a lot. So I had a lot of painful moments in my professional life and in managerial life. But looking back, I think it was a good experience, positive experience, and I'm happy with the progress that we've made, and I'm happy to continue to serve over next foreseeable future.
Well, very extensive answers, oh God, really very praiseworthy, and well, something to be imitated even by doctors who call themselves, I'm not criticizing them, that we are great in our field. Now, you have many laurels of success as a highly professional heart surgeon. To your credit, to add more to your laurels you have contributed towards, let's say, you've already mentioned something about Saeed Gangalal, and that was the place where we used to go as college students to look at the shoe factory. And Prem Das Pradhan even sang a song. And the sister says, "Ah, kati ramro juta kahabata ल्याएको." And Premdo says, Basubari chala jutta karkhana now. Sare asal jutta lao. That was the thing in those days, right? And I mean, whatever is Gangalal, Shahid Gangalal Art Center today, it is due to you. The credit goes to you. We know that. And secondly, you were also at Maharajganj Teaching Hospital, where you did really outstanding work in bringing so many reforms and changes. And well, we did hear that some problems came up. I don't know what the problems were, but let's not talk about the problems. But you have already told us about the experience you've undergone, some painful experience and so on. Would you like to add a little bit more on that?
First of all, let me tell you that Gangalal was built not just by me. It was a group of young doctors who were really committed to progress in their own field, do a good job in medicine, in cardiology in particular. So I could work with them, use the energy that everybody had.
But sorry, you were the commander.
Yes.
Of the team.
And I set the tone from day one that, look, we're not going to work like yet another district hospital of this country. We're going to change the way we're going to work. And everybody agreed to that. So I would like to give credit to my team members of that time. That's all I want to say about Gangalal. But everything else is a public document. Came back to university because I was deputed to Gangalal. I was never transferred from there, which a lot of people think. Because I was always on the faculty of university and I always had deep commitment to teaching of next generation. And I think that's the best way to leave your legacy anyway. So I came back after almost 10 years of contribution to service to Gangalal, came to University Hospital. Then we tried doing a lot of things in teaching general. But developing something in heart and lungs within teaching framework was almost impossible because the way the management was set, the way the mind setup of everybody else was created, that would not be possible to excel in that area. So we kind of forced with my, baggage of image or whatever you like in the past, I kind of demanded that we create an independent entity within university system where I could do my heart and lung work. But it's not just me. A lot of other seniors kind of helped me, Prakash Saimi and the dean. So they finally agreed that we would create a separate institute of Manmohan Cardiothoracic and Vascular Institute. Then we started again reproducing a lot of high impact results. So that came into being not just by myself. Of course, I was not even the founding director, but the idea and the processes,
the input
and everything was mine in the first one. I also ran that place for about a year until I was made the director of teaching hospital. And literally, I probably would say that something in public later on, but I did not really want to be the director of teaching hospital that time. I knew hospital was in shambles. Financially, legality-wise, governance-wise, it was a disaster that time. That very moment when I was made a director. And I guess that's exactly why they picked me up. But then my wife told me, apart from everybody else, that look, maybe you give it a try. Fix it.
Yeah, she motivated you, I mean.
I thought, let's give it a try. I didn't want to lead because I wanted to do my professional job. That needed actually a full-time administrative job. And a lot of other directors have done complete full-time administration. I didn't want to quit my professional life. My strength lies in heart surgery or cardiology. But I had to do both. But then, I just hit on the anomalies of a normal functioning of a hospital. I hit hard on them. I became unpopular with many people. I became popular with many people, probably more people. But I hit hard on those anomalies, the corrupt practices within our community, and by and large rescued the institute from collapsing at that time. Please forgive me if I sound arrogant in this, but that's exactly how the financial situation of the teaching hospital at that time was. And then, a lot of things happen afterwards. I just was honest to my job and profession. If I don't command the institution and the way it's going to work, it's no point staying as a chief of that institution for a long time, because there came a point where, for a number of good and bad reasons, in the fight of good and bad, the situation came such that I was no more in the command of that institution. And I realized that quickly and said, rather than killing myself, I would do some better job. Time will come and come back to this issue again and fix it. So that's how I got out of teaching. And then, I could contribute a lot. I wrote a number of books after that, number of articles internationally. I'm invited to a lot of international forum representing Nepal after that. So I think my time after teaching hospital in Manmohan is also well spent.
But the legacy you have left behind in the management of TU, this teaching hospital, well, it can't be forgotten, because
I hope so.
People will have. They are bound to put in their memories, because things which you have done there, were not done by the previous, say, administrators over there. But still, a man called Professor Dr. Bhagawan Koirala goes there and cleans up, making a combing operation from top to bottom. Not only the buildings and painting the building, but had to do a combing operation from top to bottom. For this, we are really proud of you, Professor Dr. Koirala. Now let me advance. Let's now talk a little bit about the standard of health in this country. Is the current health situation, for example, health standard, compatible to the requirements of the general public? Are they happy?
Answer is no. And I keep going to communities. I'm also trying to help the provincial governments in Far West and Midwest to help set up a right kind of healthcare delivery system. Also in the central level here, we get involved in a lot of policy deliberations. And of course, not just me, but we in general are not happy with the standards of care that we provide to our people. Nor are we happy with the overall healthcare delivery system. 20 years ago, imagine, we just didn't have structures in the peripheries. So if you look at the denominator, the achievement that has been done in last 2 decades in the health sector is commendable. We only spend 5-6% of our national budget in health, where others spend almost 20% of the budget, or GDP even in many countries. So looking at that background, I think we've come a long way, but a lot of things need to be done. So the answer partly is yes, and we're not happy, but a lot of progress has been done. We have a long way to go. There is an opportunity now. With this decentralization, I would like to call what's happening now. If we use it right, there is an opportunity to grow fast. If we miss this opportunity, this can be a disaster.
So this is the right kind of, let's say, improvement needed or recommendations you want to make to the current situation?
There is no one formula. We know how the health system should be developed. We know what are the inputs that are required to make this system work. And those theoretical points are well known to many people, including the ministers, the secretaries, and the provincial governments. But the problem is, how do we actually translate that into reality with such a difficult geographic terrain, such a limited financial situation, such a kind of sketchy and very confusing type of legal disbursement model, legal authority sharing model. So there are a lot of challenges in this sense. I only hope that the new constitution gives an opportunity to grow rather than again trying to digress from the progress and then actually achieve nothing in next 5 years. I hope we realize that decentralizing the authorities and the resources with adequate amount of accountability, I think the progress would be faster than ever before.
Okay. So let's come to your specific area, that means treatment of heart diseases and heart problems and so on. Professor Dr. Koirala, I would like to know from you, what are actually the common heart diseases you normally come across among people here, in Nepal in particular?
Oh, unfortunately, Nepal and the countries like Nepal, who are low-income countries, suffer from double burden. We all know this. Double burden means we have communicable disease, infectious disease, and also the new quote-unquote lifestyle diseases. There is a rapid change in the demographics, rapid change in the epidemiology of diseases. Even in cardiac conditions, we still have rheumatic heart disease, which comes from a simple throat infection, which could be prevented, treated by very little resource. We have high burden of those heart valve disease that comes from rheumatic fever. We have congenital heart disease, like in any part of the world, that when the child is born, by whatever fault of God, the heart becomes defective. We now have the third category of disease, which is more of a lifestyle, more of a result of an urbanization, more of a bad habit, is the coronary artery disease, heart attacks and the like. So we see all of them at once. That's a challenge for us. If you also combine with the financial challenges, it's a double, triple burden. But this is why we need to work on improving our life, living standards, at the same time making it healthy, so that we don't get diseases and we have to spend so much of money in treating them while the resources are so limited. So again, I want to emphasize here, improving the living standards should not necessarily mean we copy the styles of the West and others which are not healthy lifestyles. So let us improve our living standards in a healthier way. That's the long-term solution.
Again, I'm coming back to the famous heart surgeon, cardiologist of India, Professor Dr. D.V. Shetty. He is really a renowned doctor of that country. And he says at one point, well, I was practicing sometime in London, and there I came across older or senior citizens with heart problems. But when I came back to India, he says that I'm encountering younger people with heart problems. What does he mean to say that?
Well, obviously I can see where he comes from. As I said before, in the types of diseases, we have three major types of disease that we deal with. Of course, there are more types. One is disease that comes from birth, comes from the simple complication of the throat infection, valve disease, and the third is the heart attacks and the like, which is coronary artery disease. So, and then there is fourth one is called degenerative valve disease, which comes with age. So the Western countries, including England, UK, US, have been able to control these infectious diseases in the heart. So they don't see rheumatic heart disease that we see here. They still see congenital heart disease. They cannot prevent it 100%. But they see a lot more of degenerative, age-related changes, the heart attacks, heart failure. That's the practice. When you come here, then again the whole epidemiology changes, the demographics of disease changes. Then of course the practice setup changes. And one more thing, when you come back to this side of the world, generally you will be required to do a lot more specialities than what you would be doing in the West. You probably would be doing one type of operation in the West. We don't have that luxury of subspecializing within heart surgery as yet. We need to move on that direction, but we can't do that as yet. So that means that I, for example, will have to do children's heart operations, the valve operations, and the bypasses. We would like to separate in near future, and we're working on it. But I can imagine when Devi Shetty came, he had to do it all.
Yeah. So he had to start from A to
Right.
Z again.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Professor Dr. Koirala, you have defined yourself to be a common man. You come from a very outstanding and a respected Koirala family, and plus your childhood really started in a way that was really, you were happy at having that kind of childhood. Your childhood was never spent in want and need.
Well, I said that before. We come from a very humble background.
Yeah.
Limited resources, but we didn't have expectations. I had no want. I didn't even ask for dresses when there were festivals happening. I mean, I don't know.
God, when people come to know all about you in this interview, then certainly they will really, get surprised, Well, that is the thing I just wanted to know. You've already mentioned,
Right.
so let's not repeat. I'm going to skip that question. Again, I'm coming here. Time and again, we get to hear from national and international doctors and health experts that the current health policy of Nepal, to some extent you've already explained to us, needs some good galvanizing in terms of health insurance and other facilities. Any comment on that?
Of course, I would not be able to answer to the fullest because I'm not a health policy expert, although I'm part of many of these discussions, and I would love to be able to contribute some. I think there are a number of areas that we can improve and we should. First and foremost is improve the provider side, meaning the hospitals, the doctors, human resource, facilities, technology. The second is the management itself, the governance of the institutions. We lack tremendously in this area. We need to create a set of managers for hospitals and the healthcare providers. We also need to work on the financing. The biggest problem we face is more than 50% of our health spending goes out of pocket of the people at the time of care delivery. That's a big problem. We need to change that, because when you fall sick with a big disease like heart disease or a cancer, nobody is resourced enough to pay from their pocket. Nobody. Very few people in the country would be having some reserves so they can pay a lot. And that's not right way of financing. So we need to come up with a prepayment model, which is an insurance. And I'm very active supporter of the national health insurance that's been launched, but it's slow, it's broken, it's fragmented. We need to start somewhere. We didn't have it. Now we have an act which is binding to everybody. We need to implement. But implementing insurance is not enough without having the provider side fixed. Provider side is us. So it's a financing. We need to develop right kind of policies as to which are the priority areas for the country. Infectious, preventive, non-communicable disease, and what within NCDs that we're going to focus on. And increasing the fiscal space. How do we generate revenue to be able to cover for all that cost? Somebody has to pay. Nothing comes free. It's just that
that's true.
we create a model of payment. And I really wish people did not have to pay from their pockets when they fall sick. That's the whole idea. So I think that's very important. We need galvanizing in this area.
Yeah.
And of course, everybody has to have health in their mindset. Health in all policies.
Well, somehow there was even talk during the Panchayat days, like health for all by the year 2000. Now it's 2019. It's already there. So the other thing is, since we are just dealing with this thing, I heard you for quite some time, sharing an information. I think I heard you on Adhatma radio that you are talking about some kind of health insurance that people should come up with 2,500 rupees or something. What was that?
Yeah, that's the part of national health insurance. That's part of national health insurance. There are a lot of private insurance that are coming up now in the market. I'm sure they are seeing opportunities here. That's okay. But the state has a responsibility of freeing people of the liability of paying from the pocket when they fall sick. That's through national health insurance. Again, as I said before, it's nowhere close to being complete and good enough, but we need to start somewhere. And I said, when I went to Palpa, my own district, to become the first enrollee in that national health insurance.
Okay, good.
Whether or not I use Palpa's health system for my health care at this time is immaterial, but I wanted to be first to do that and let people copy this.
As initiator.
I told publicly that, look, this may not satisfy your expectations.
Yeah.
So be it. Let us pay the premium. Unless rich pays for the poor, young pays for the old, and the healthy pays for the sick.
Yes.
It's not going to work. So let us do that.
Lovely statement, lovely, way of expressing things. So, and then we wish you all the best in the venture you are in, this health insurance, may I call it health insurance policy?
Yes.
All right. Then we are coming to the final question.
Okay, great.
Now, the final question is, we have been talking about success, we have been talking about achievements, the problems here and there, and so many, the whole gamut of things. And now, has there been a kind of a heartrending experience in your life as a heart surgeon? You'd like to say, oh, this happened to me once. Or if you don't have any, then
you could probably bring up anything that you've heard before.
Yeah.
There are numerous examples of heartbreaking or very happy moments. All sorts of experience as a doctor. Of course, that's natural for a doctor. We deal with the lives, emotions of other people. I remember, of course, the first open heart surgery that we all as a Nepalese team did in teaching hospital. That was a very stressful yet exciting moment for all of us. Technologically, that was a very simple operation.
Yeah.
But trying to do something in a setup where it did not exist was something of a big excitement. As a professional, I had a lady who was 8 months pregnant. Broke her heart, actually, literally. She had a tear in the aorta, something that comes off heart, and she was dying. So we talked, we took a risk. It took, several 8, 10, 11 hours to start and complete the whole process. So we had to save the kid first, do CPR on him after we delivered, and then send her to a neonatal ICU, and then start the operation on the mother and replace the whole broken thing, torn aorta, and she goes home. And she keeps coming back for follow-up with her kid,
Still today?
I haven't seen her for last year or so, but for several years she came back for follow-up with me, with a kid always. It's great to see those experiences, when she was dying, not just herself. There's an innocent kid in her tummy.
Yeah.
So there are many other examples where I felt very bad in some situations. People, have a lot of different expectations from us, and sometimes when we don't give the expected result, they don't like us, they criticize. So there are a lot of many examples I can quote.
So I've got one thing.
Please.
I don't know whether that's true, but I heard it. I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
This is the point, earthquake 2015.
Oh yeah.
April 25th.
Yeah.
You were in the operation theater, I suppose.
Yeah.
And the earth started shaking.
Yeah.
The nurses and the attending people ran away, but you didn't. You stayed strong with the patient on the operating table. Am I right?
You're right. You're absolutely right. I wrote that in my Facebook status that time. Thought it's kind of important to share with people, not to show that we stayed back, but to tell how terrible the earthquake was for Nepal. Yeah, you're right. But one thing is not right, that nobody left the operating room.
I see.
That was the second shock that we got. The first big shock was, of course, devastating. That was Saturday. And after things settled, after several days, we did a lot of community work, reconstruction and all. Then we just resumed a regular operating schedule after 2 weeks or something of the first earthquake. In Manmohan, we were in the 5th floor, operating room is there. And the second stroke of approximately 6.8 or 7.3, I'm not sure which number is correct, struck us. And we're middle of an open heart operation.
But anyway,
We were in the middle of an open heart operation.
yeah,
And we're changing 2 valves, a stroke. And I said,
stop it.
no. I said, I was holding
Yeah.
to the open chest of this lady
Oh,
and preventing her from falling off the table, and said,
that is
and
great.
question of leaving the operating room never came to my mind. I didn't have to actually decide. I was thinking, what the hell am I going to tell the family if something goes wrong with this lady? I can't. Just stay back. And people were screaming, trying to run away, and said, guys, calm down, we'll be okay. And somebody started, jumping the mantra and stuff like that,
Yeah.
But that's okay. After 10 minutes, we were trying to finish the operation fast. Second stroke came in again. Then it became a
that's
real
true.
crisis. People started crying, But we finished the operation. We literally carried all on our arms with the bed, the monitors, machines, because the lifts were not working anymore.
Yeah.
Shifted to another safe place. She survived that operation, that moment. So I was very heartbreaking to recall, but that moment, it just came naturally to
Yes,
us.
but anyway, Professor Dr. Koirala, a brave doctor you are. Others could have or would have left the place, but anyway, that is in itself a revelation of, let's say, faithfulness, a revelation of love and affection towards the patient. Well, Dr. Koirala, that's it. We had a real great time talking to you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
And then we enjoyed it. We thank you very much for coming to us. Well, it did happen. This interview is a reality. And on top of all, our dreams are fulfilled. They have come true. Thank you once again, and wish you all the best in your future career.
Thank you very
And,
much for having me here.
Stay blessed all the time,
thank
Dr.
you.
Koirala.